bet my social security number that you will never see Gucci Mane or Pooh Shiesty standing next to each other again, on a picture again, never on a song again. That shit'll never happen.
Damn, man, that's crazy. So that's stamped.
Man, listen, the street's been talking for weeks about this whole situation, and for a long time, people didn't know what to believe. Every blog had a different story, every page was adding their own twist, and everybody kept asking the same question over and over again. Did Gucci Mane really get robbed by his own artist? Not an op, not a stranger, not somebody from the outside, but someone he put on, someone he fed, someone he protected, someone he trusted. And now, Gucci Mane has finally broken his silence, and let me tell you right now, his response shocked everybody, because it wasn't loud, it wasn't emotional, it wasn't messy. It was cold, it was calculated, and it hurt way deeper than any diss record ever could. Deleted posts, money taken back, support removed, and a message sent without saying a single word. But before we even get into Gucci's savage response, we gotta slow this thing all the way down and really talk about how we even got here. Because this situation ain't just about robbery, it ain't just about money. This is about loyalty. This is about betrayal. This is about ego. This is about pride. And this is about one of the most disrespectful mentor-student fallouts hip-hop has seen in a long time. So make sure you stay locked in, because this story gets deeper the more you listen. Gucci Mane is not just another rapper, and that's something a lot of people forget when they talk about him like he's just some old head in the game. Gucci Mane is one of the architects of modern trap music. Before the charts, before streaming, before viral moments, Gucci was in the streets pressing CDs, flooding mixtapes, building a movement from nothing. For over 2 decades, this man has survived indictments, jail time, industry politics, beefs, betrayals, and still managed to come out respected, not just as an artist, but as a label boss. 1017 isn't just a brand, it's a pipeline. Gucci has discovered, developed, and introduced artists who went on to dominate the culture. When Gucci puts his name behind you, that means something. It means access, it means credibility, it means protection, it means opportunity that most people never get. Now, Pooh Shiesty, real name Lontrell Williams, came from Memphis, a city that don't play about their rappers. Memphis is gritty, Memphis is raw, Memphis artists don't sugarcoat nothing. And before Pooh Shiesty ever became a mainstream name, before radio spins, before big features, his name was already ringing bells in the city. And not always for music. Pooh came from real street energy, the kind you can't fake, the kind that shows up in your voice, your walk, your presence. When he started rapping, that rawness translated. He wasn't trying to be lyrical miracle. He wasn't trying to sound commercial. He was telling stories exactly how he lived them, and that authenticity is what made people listen. When Gucci first heard about Pooh Shiesty, it wasn't through blogs or labels, it was through street connections. People who knew both sides of the game, the music side and the real life side. They kept telling Gucci, there's this young dude in Memphis, he got it. When Gucci finally listened, it clicked immediately. Not just the bars, but the energy. Pooh reminded him of his younger self, that hunger, that fearlessness, that unpolished truth. In an industry full of manufactured images and fake backstories, Pooh Shiesty felt real, and Gucci respects real above everything. By the time Gucci reached out, Pooh already had a buzz. He wasn't unknown, he just needed the machine. He needed someone who understood the industry, someone who could protect him from getting swallowed alive. And when Gucci calls, you answer. The conversation wasn't complicated. Gucci saw potential, Pooh needed a platform, 1017 needed that Memphis sound, and just like that, the deal was done. For Pooh Shiesty, this was life-changing. One moment you're a local Memphis artist, next moment you're signed to one of the most respected trap legends alive. Gucci didn't just sign him and forget him either, he invested. Studio time, producers, features, branding, visibility. Gucci treated him like family, like a little brother. And early on, the chemistry worked. The streets responded, the industry paid attention. Everything was lining up. Then life hit. Pooh Shiesty caught a serious federal case, a situation that stopped everything in its tracks right when his career was starting to rise. Headlines everywhere, mugshots circulating, courtrooms, judges denying bond, the kind of moment that ends most careers before they even begin.
Popular rapper arrested. He's accused of shooting a security guard at a South Florida gentleman's club and will remain behind bars. A judge denied bond for 21-year-old Lontrell Williams.
And it lands a rapper in jail. 7 Sheldon Fox with the exclusive.
Rhode Island says you're wanted with it.
Mr. Williams, you were arrested or pursuant to an arrest.
For many artists, once you go in, the industry moves on. Labels forget you, fans forget you. But Gucci Mane didn't. While Pooh was locked up, Gucci kept his name alive. He mentioned him in interviews, posted about him, made it clear that his artist wasn't abandoned. That matters. That's rare, especially in an industry where people disappear overnight. Gucci could have cut his losses quietly, but he didn't. He believed Pooh would come home and finish what they started. Time passed, the game kept moving. New artists popped up, new sounds took over, but Gucci kept the door open, and when Pooh Shiesty finally came home, Gucci welcomed him publicly, proud, smiling, talking about the future. Fans felt hopeful, like okay, second chance time, redemption story loading. But something was different. Instead of reconnecting fully with Gucci in 1017, Pooh started leaning heavy toward Memphis, toward home, toward Yo Gotti and CMG. And this is where the story stops being simple and starts getting dangerous. Because Gucci Mane and Yo Gotti don't just have a rap beef, they have history, deep history, personal history, the kind that don't heal with time, the kind that don't get fixed with money. The root of that tension goes back to Gucci's wife, Keisha Kaur. Before she became Mrs. Gucci Mane, she had a relationship with Yo Gotti while Gucci was incarcerated, and when Gucci found out, that was it. In street culture, certain lines can't be crossed, and that's one of them. That situation created a permanent divide between the two camps. So when Pooh Shiesty, Gucci's artist, starts publicly showing love to Yo Gotti, pulling up to CMG events, posting affiliations, it wasn't just business, it wasn't just Memphis pride, it was a statement. Whether intentional or not, it looked like choosing sides. And every time that happened, it felt like disrespect. Because while Memphis was home for Pooh, Gucci was the one who held him down when he had nothing. Gucci was the one who kept his name alive while he was behind bars. Loyalty in hip-hop is not supposed to be about location. It's about who stood with you when nobody else did. Then the rumors started. At first, people didn't believe it. It sounded too crazy, too wild, too disrespectful. But word began spreading that Pooh Shiesty had allegedly robbed Gucci Mane. Not internet robbed, not contract robbed, physically robbed. Jewelry, money, gun involved. The streets said it happened during a studio session in Dallas. Things got tense, words were exchanged, and suddenly it escalated. According to multiple sources, Gucci was forced to give up his watch and wedding ring. Let that sink in. This wasn't an op, this wasn't a setup from strangers. This was someone Gucci trusted enough to be in the room with him, someone he brought into his circle, someone he considered family. That's why the betrayal cut so deep. It wasn't about the value of the jewelry. Gucci has more money than he can spend. It was about the principle, the humiliation, the violation. And what made it even worse is that it didn't appear random. It looked planned, coordinated, and that's the part that changes everything. Because that means the disrespect existed before that moment. That means the decision was already made. For Gucci Mane, a man who survived the streets, jail, industry snakes, this had to hit different, because betrayal from within always hurts more than attacks from outside. Now here's where Gucci showed exactly why he's still here after all these years. He didn't crash out. He didn't go online screaming. He didn't drop a diss record. He didn't make threats. He moved like a boss. The first move was quiet but loud at the same time. He deleted the welcome home post. That picture, gone. That message, erased. In today's era, that's a statement. That's separation. That's saying we are no longer connected. Then came the real move. Gucci allegedly moved to recoup everything he had given Pooh when he came home. Money, jewelry, advances, whatever could legally be taken back, he took back. No emotion, no drama, just business.
That move hurt more than violence ever could, because Gucci didn't just remove support, he erased history. He made it like the relationship never existed. And for an artist trying to rebuild after prison, losing that kind of backing is devastating. The connections, the cosign, the credibility, all gone overnight. Gucci didn't have to say a word. His silence spoke volumes. The hip-hop world watched in shock. Some people couldn't believe it went that far. Others said it was inevitable, Memphis versus Atlanta, hometown pride versus loyalty. Some defended Pooh, saying he chose his hometown. Others said there's no excuse for robbing your mentor. And that's where the divide happened, because you can rep your hometown without disrespecting the person who helped you get there. Those two things don't have to conflict, but when ego, pride, and influence mix together, people start making decisions they can't take back. For Pooh Shiesty, aligning with Yo Gotti and CMG probably felt natural. Memphis love, familiar faces, acceptance. But the cost of that choice may follow him forever. Because in this industry, reputation travels faster than music. And once your name is attached to betrayal, people remember. For Gucci Mane, this was a painful reminder that loyalty can't be forced. You can give someone opportunity, but you can't make them grateful. You can open doors, but you can't control what someone does once they walk through them. This situation wasn't just about two rappers falling out. It was a lesson, a warning, a reminder of how thin the line is between family and enemies in hip-hop. Both sides lost some.
And see, this is the part of the story where things get real uncomfortable. Because now everybody started asking the questions nobody wanted to say out loud. Was this really about loyalty, or was this about power? Was this about Memphis pride, or was this about ego growing faster than wisdom? Because when someone comes home from prison, especially with fame waiting on the outside, the pressure is different. The expectations are heavier. Everybody pulling you in different directions. Old friends want access, new people want clout. And somewhere in the middle of all that noise, your judgment can get cloudy. Pooh Shiesty didn't just come home to music. He came home to attention, cameras, fans, people treating him like a hero. And sometimes when that happens, people forget who really helped build the foundation. They start believing the hype. They start thinking the success was destiny instead of opportunity. And that's when entitlement creeps in. That quiet voice that says, I deserve more. That voice that convinces you that loyalty is optional. And that's why this situation hits so hard for the culture. Because we've seen this story before. A young artist gets put on. The money starts coming. The fame starts rising. And suddenly, the mentor becomes the obstacle instead of the blessing. Instead of gratitude, there's resentment. Instead of patience, there's impatience. Instead of communication, there's confrontation. The streets started saying Pooh felt like Gucci was holding him back, that he didn't like contracts, that he wanted freedom, that he wanted to move how he wanted to move. And if that's true, there's a right way to handle that, and a wrong way. You sit down, you talk, you negotiate, you separate peacefully. That happens every day in the industry. But robbery? That crosses into a whole different category. Because once violence enters the picture, it's no longer business, it's personal. And that's why Gucci's silence scared people more than if he had gone online yelling. Because when someone who survived everything chooses silence, that usually means they've already processed it and moved on mentally. And that's dangerous in a different way. People kept waiting for Gucci to speak. Days passed, weeks passed. Blogs kept speculating. Some said it wasn't true. Some said it was exaggerated. Some said it was being covered up to avoid legal problems. And Gucci said nothing. Not a tweet, not a caption, not an interview. Just distance. And that distance told the story. Behind the scenes, industry phones were ringing, executives whispering, artists choosing sides quietly. Because in hip-hop, when something like this happens, everyone pays attention. People start asking themselves, if he did that to Gucci, what would he do to me? That's the part fans don't always understand. It's not just about public perception. It's about trust behind closed doors, studio sessions, business meetings, touring, partnerships. And once that trust is broken, doors close silently. You could almost feel the shift. Features slowed down, support got quiet, energy changed. and Pooh Shiesty's name stopped being mentioned the same way. Meanwhile, Gucci kept moving, focused, married, healthy, wealthy, mind clear, no spiraling, no relapse, no chaos. And that contrast said everything. One man reacting emotionally, the other responding strategically. And let's be honest, Gucci could have done a lot worse. The old Gucci might have handled this completely different. But this version of Gucci, this one understands longevity. He understands karma. He understands that sometimes the strongest response is letting someone destroy themselves with their own decisions. And that's what made this situation feel like a slow-motion collapse. Because every time Pooh Shiesty's name came up, the conversation wasn't about music anymore. It was about what he allegedly did. And once your narrative changes, it's hard to take control of it back, especially in an industry where perception is reality. Fans started debating online, some saying free Pooh, others saying you don't do that to the man who fed you. Comment sections became war zones, Memphis versus Atlanta, young energy versus old school principles, new generation versus the code. But here's the truth nobody likes to admit. The code still matters. You don't violate your mentor. You don't embarrass your label boss. You don't put hands on the person who gave you your shot. Because even if you win short term, you lose long term. And Gucci knew that. That's why he didn't chase revenge. He let time do the work. Because time exposes everything. Time shows patterns. Time reveals character. And slowly, people began to see that this wasn't just one bad moment. It was a series of choices stacking up. Public affiliations, disrespectful energy, distance, silence, until eventually something snapped. And now the biggest tragedy in all of this is what could have been. Imagine the music they could have made after Pooh came home. The comeback story, the redemption arc, the growth, the maturity. That would have been legendary. Fans were ready for it. The culture was waiting. But ego doesn't wait. Pride doesn't pause. And loyalty, once broken, doesn't rewind. Gucci Mane lost an artist, yes, but he didn't lose himself. And that's the most important part. Because a lot of people lose everything trying to respond to disrespect. Gucci chose peace over chaos, business over bloodshed, distance over destruction, and that's growth. Meanwhile, Pooh Shiesty will have to carry this chapter forever. No matter how talented you are, certain stories follow you, especially in hip-hop, where relationships matter more than contracts. This situation became a warning tale for every upcoming rapper watching, for every young artist dreaming of being signed, for every person who thinks fame replaces gratitude. Because the truth is simple. The industry doesn't owe you anything. Your mentor doesn't owe you forever. But respect is non-negotiable, and once you cross that line, there's no undo button. As this story continues to unfold, people are still waiting to see if either side will ever speak publicly. Maybe they won't. Maybe they don't need to. Sometimes the loudest stories are the ones told without words. But one thing is certain. This wasn't just a fallout. This was a fracture, a moment that separated generations, a reminder that success without loyalty is fragile, and power without wisdom is temporary. So before you comment, before you choose sides, before you argue in the comments, ask yourself this. If someone believed in you when nobody else did, if someone kept your name alive when you were forgotten, if someone gave you opportunity when you had nothing, would you ever turn around and betray them? Because in hip-hop and in life, how you come up matters just as much as how far you go. And some losses don't show immediately. They show later, when the phones stop ringing, when the rooms feel colder, when the support disappears, and you realize too late that loyalty was the real currency all along. If you made it this far, you already know this story wasn't just about Gucci Mane or Pooh Shiesty. It was about choices, and choices always collect interest, every single time.